we are about to start our Q&A. Just a few things. As you know, Iran just announced that it's intentionally breaching the agreement between them and the superpowers and Europe and the UN, Russia and China. And Iran accelerated its uranium enrichment to 20%, all the way from 3.5%, according to the agreement, all the way to 20%. It takes way more than that for a weapon-graded uranium, but they are on the path for a weapon-graded uranium. If you accelerate to 20, and then the time for a breakthrough is much shorter than if you are enriching it only to 3.5%. So folks, it is definitely something to worry about. The Iranians are trying to provoke some sort of reaction from the American side. They understood that they may have crossed the lines when they downed that drone. They understood that America was very close to retaliate, but apparently a military retaliation that is very small and limited would be of no effect, and the sanctions are actually way more effective. So President Trump made it very clear to Iran that sanctions will intensify, and it is crippling the Iranians right now. We know that they are pulling out their troops from so many places there because they can't really pay for all of those expenses. Yet they are sending their proxies, like the Houthis in Yemen, to take all of their aggression and frustration on the Saudis, the allies of the United States. In a very interesting way, the entire crisis in the Persian Gulf is not causing the oil to go skyrocketing. It's very simple. America is the largest oil exporter in the world, and America is able to fill the gap and to supply all the needs. So the more shenanigans from Iran, the better it is for the American oil industry, because they sell more oil that cannot come from the Persian Gulf. And that is, of course, something that the Russians and the Saudis don't like. The Russians and the Saudis are, for the last few months, if not years, they have been trying to coordinate prices and to limit their oil production so the prices will go up. But America is basically enjoying from that thing, because every time the prices go up, America increases its production and the prices go down again. And America is the one who's selling the oil. So it is a very interesting win-win situation for the Trump administration. And it is being reflected in the rally in the markets, of course, that we've seen in the last few weeks. So that's the situation over there. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that Iran is allowing themselves to do what they do because they never sign any real deal. I just posted a couple days ago on my way to Singapore an article or a commentary that I wrote that basically tells everyone that Iran never signed a deal. There was never a deal that was signed. I don't know if you know that, but you won't find anywhere footage of Iranian officials, European officials, American officials signing a document. And the Obama administration admitted when then Representative Pompeo, which is now Secretary of State, raised the question. The answer of the State Department was, you're right, there is no agreement signed. This is what we call political understandings. The Iranians may have fooled the Americans or may have actually collaborated with the Americans to basically create a deal that would benefit several people, but definitely not world peace. And why is that so? Because if the American rationale was that helping Iran will actually reduce terrorism, it was exactly the opposite. Helping Iran was actually pumping millions or hundreds of millions to terrorists that actually increased the destabilization of the entire region, whether it's in Lebanon by Hezbollah, whether it's in the Gaza Strip by the Islamic Jihad and Hamas, or whether it's in Yemen by the Houthis and in Iraq by the Hashd al-Sha'bi. So the Iranians never ever intended to begin with to use the money for their own economy and their own people and their own welfare. They've channeled the cash that the Obama administration gave them. And also, they used a silent agreement that they received from the American administration then to sell weapons and to enrich uranium. Both things, by the way, I don't know if you know that. According to the UN resolutions, Iran is not allowed to enrich any uranium in its territory, and Iran is not allowed to export any weapon to anyone at all. And what the Americans did then, the Obama administration, was allowing them to enrich uranium and to export weapons, and that exactly did the opposite than bringing peace and stability to the region. And this is exactly what President Trump said, that this is a very poor deal. We actually are allowing enrichment of uranium, and they will always play games with us, which they do right now, and we're actually allowing them to export weapons, which they do already, as they arm both the Palestinian terrorist organization, the Lebanese terrorist organization, the Iraqi terrorist organization, and of course the Yemenite terrorist organization. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have right now. This is a deal that was never signed, never binding anyone. Therefore, the Iranians do whatever they want, and they could care less whether more sanctions will come, because they count the minutes for President Trump to lose in the 2020 elections. This is what the Palestinians are banking on. This is what Venezuela is banking on. This is what Iran is banking on. I mean, think about the company that is all there to wait for him to lose. Why? Because they are those that have been affected by the unbelievably effective and decisive Trump administration. So that's what we have. I kind of really needed to put things in the right perspective for all of you to understand that the aggression and the tension in the Middle East regarding the intentions of Iran are only because Iran is not signed on anything. There is no international agreement that was binding them. It is all oral political understandings, and they shook hands but never signed any document. It is quite amazing that the whole world is talking about a deal that has never ever been signed. So quite an amazing thing to understand.